through a permit through Queensland Racing should enable the floating of horses as from Monday.
All right, now because of the news yesterday on Wednesday from the Department of Primary Industry, there has been a schedule of race meetings that has been put out for the next week. I'll run through those and then get some thoughts from you, Malcolm. On Saturday, we're going to race in 3 venues in Queensland. Taroom have their Cup, Longreach and also Mount Isa have their Spring Cup. They're all on Saturday. On Sunday, we race at the Sunshine Coast where they've got a Royal Flying Doctor Service plate over 1,200 metres. Monday, it's Townsville. They've got 2 races worth $12,000 each. Tuesday, it's Ipswich. All races worth $7,700, and on Wednesday we're going to Mackay for 2 races worth $12,000. So all in all, Malcolm, on that we're going to from virtually Saturday we're going to have meetings in some part of Queensland each day.
Andrew, we'll look to run a meeting every day of the week if we can in Queensland. The non-TAB or the country meetings will be predominantly across the weekend and mainly on Saturday. But look, the magazine or the calendar, as a lot of people refer to it, you can effectively throw that out the window. We've put in place a schedule up to and including the end of October. There's a real mix and match of meetings there, but we've, for various reasons, we haven't doubled up with meetings on a Saturday where normally we might have had, say, 3 TAB meetings and a host of non-TAB meetings. We've done away with that. We've tried to spread those meetings across the week. And equally with the non-TAB meetings on Saturdays, we're looking at 3, possibly 4 of those each Saturday up until the end of October. So what I'd suggest to people that have an interest in our programming up here in Queensland, that don't refer to the magazine, go to the Queensland Racing website. There'll be a plan up there this morning where you can have a look at least at what we are planning right through until the end of October. It's subject to change. All of these meetings need to be applied for through the Department of Primary Industries. But look, we've looked at a schedule, Andrew, that we think will complement our TAB program and at the same time get some country racing back on the map.
Malcolm, one of those meetings that normally would be held in late October is the Toowoomba Cup. Has there been any feel on the stage of that meeting late in October?
Difficult with all of our features, Andrew. To this particular point in time, there's been a number of $100,000 races that have simply fallen by the wayside. So we'd be very, very reluctant to proceed with full-blown feature races unless we're able to reasonably transport a good number of horses into those particular meetings. So look, at this stage, where in the red zone at least, where the majority of our feature races are being conducted, we work on a horse precinct system. As from Monday, we're looking to try to introduce some more horses into those local horse precincts. For example, the Gold Coast horse pool may well be expanded with other horses capable of moving into that pool. And I guess the logical step a week or 2 beyond that is trying to integrate those pools, which may see perhaps the Gold Coast horse pool integrated with a metropolitan horse pool, but that's probably a week or 2 away, Andrew.
Things have improved. Can I just ask you, and I'll get a quick answer, we're slowly running out of time here, horse movement throughout Queensland, you mentioned it earlier, people have still got to be very cautious of that.
Absolutely. We encourage biosecurity measures to be maintained in the green zone. Green zone travel quite simply by way of a waybill that can be accessed on the DPI website. Travel within the red zone requires a permit. The permits can be accessed on the Queensland Racing website and applications made to Queensland Racing.
Malcolm, appreciate your time on the show again this morning. Look, people are frustrated, but we are improving. There's more race meetings being staged. Things are slowly getting back to normal. We appreciate your time this morning.
My pleasure, Andrew.
Malcolm Tuttle joining us there, Chief Operations Manager for Queensland Racing. And Malcolm Tuttle is the Chief Operations Manager for Queensland Racing. Malcolm, welcome again to Off the Beaten Track. Things are slowly getting sort of back to normal up there.
Yeah, good morning, Andrew. We're making some heady progress up here in Queensland, actually, where we have a bit of a hiatus, I guess, in terms of our program during November from a country racing standpoint, but we were able to announce earlier this week that our non-TAB racing gets back on track from December 1, so we're back into full swing with non-TAB racing from December 1.
Malcolm, you should be also very proud, and congratulations to these clubs, but the likes of Charleville and Mount Isa and Emerald that have really been staging some strong TAB meetings while, you know, there was no racing in southeast Queensland.
Been terrific, Andrew. I had a long chat with the people from Mount Isa recently, and Mount Isa, along with the other clubs you mentioned, have done a great job. We've a void of TAB racing, of course, in southeast Queensland, and the clubs that we've brought online from regional Queensland have really rallied and delivered a terrific product. I think what we need to take into account as well, Andrew, that wagering, of course, is the lifeblood of the industry, and the amount of money turned over in those meetings has been absolutely fantastic, and in many cases comparable to the level of turnover we would have expected from Eastern Seaboard TAB clubs up there in the green zone.
So Malcolm, those clubs would like me to ask you then, is there a chance that we could still see them conduct TAB meetings in the future? Not as regularly as what they are at the moment, but could they stage them in the future?
Look, that's not our plan, Andrew. What we have built our program on historically is being able to increase the range of identity across the whole meeting for people wanting to wager on the card. That's with horses, with trainers, with jockeys, etc. And we've been able to do that from probably 9 venues historically, and we'll continue to do that. But it's really a matter of make hay while the sun shines for a lot of those clubs, and I reinforce the message that I've sent to all of them that they have done a terrific job during the crisis.
No doubt about that. Now, Rockhampton's been another club, Malcolm, that's been holding your major Saturday meeting. They race again on Saturday. They've got the feature of being a Class 5 worth $15,000. These clubs, Rocky, Mackay, Townsville, Cairns, they've done a super job, and Rockhampton's been that key meeting on a Saturday.
It's been the anchor club, Andrew, and really it's taken on the role, if you like, with the Queensland Turf Club at Eagle Farm, or perhaps the Brisbane Turf Club there at Doomben. So they've anchored our Saturday product. In most cases, we've been able to complement that meeting with another or an alternative TAB meeting in regional Queensland. But all of those clubs indeed have done a great job, and as I'd mentioned earlier, I think we can't dismiss the fact that without their contribution, nationally, the entire wagering program would have been much poorer.
Okay, now just while we're talking here, and we'll show some boards while we continue to talk, Melbourne Cup country meetings there, you've got Cairns and Mackay in that northern part of Queensland. Next Friday, the 9th of November, it's Charleville Cup Day, a race worth $15,000 over the mile. So that's coming up on Friday the 9th. And then we've got some Roma Cups and meetings coming up. So those meetings back and continuing to build up in both Charleville and Roma, Malcolm.
Yeah, all of those places, Andrew, have been key areas for the racing during the shutdown, if you like, as a result of EI. And in their own right, as non-TAB venues, they provide substantial entertainment and pleasure for those people attending the meetings. What we've also done, Andrew, in announcing the programs for December 1, and as I mentioned earlier, our non-TAB racing gets back on track. Yep. We've taken the step of increasing the minimum prize money per race for our non-TAB country race meetings from $4,000 up to $4,750 per race. So there's a bit of a boost there to our racing in country Queensland at a non-TAB level. From a TAB standpoint, at our provincial meetings, and we do conduct a number of TAB provincial meetings in regional Queensland, from December 1, we've also moved to confirm minimum prize money at those meetings. So on each of those cards, we will run 2 races of $12,000, and every other race on those cards will carry prize money of $10,000. So there's also a good kick along there for connections that want to get to those meetings up in the green zone from December 1.
Just on the Gold Coast and Ipswich and those sort of tracks that are regularly seen on Sky, whereabouts are they at the moment, Malcolm?
The movements, Andrew, are the next big issue for us. That's the movement of horses to and from various precincts here in southeast Queensland. At this stage, we haven't tackled the issue of moving from a red zone to a green zone, but that's coming up very quickly for us. But from Monday of next week, we have a number of eligible precincts to move horses. That means that the horses within those precincts and the entire precinct has a similar level of immunity to other areas to which they want to move. So from Monday of next week, connections in those precincts or trainers in those precincts can make application to move their horses. So basically a lot of those areas, in the case of Hendra and in the case of Deegan, they've spent their 30 days, or they've done their time, if you like. They've had the 30-day period elapse after the last horse in those precincts contracted the virus. In relation to areas such as the Gold Coast and the Sunshine Coast, they will be 42 days after their first vaccination. So in both cases, those precincts and the horses within those precincts will have received or at least achieved optimum immunity. Now what we do have coming online then after Monday is a number of our spelling farms and pre-training farms, Andrew, so we can start to move horses out of stables to the farms and equally move horses from the pre-training areas back into our stables as we start to gear for a resumption of racing in southeast Queensland from December 1.
Malcolm, it's starting to get back. We're really appreciative of those country clubs. They've done a grand job in doing and supporting the racing industry in full. Appreciate your time this morning. Good luck with it over the next few weeks.
It's my pleasure, Andrew. Thank you.
Malcolm Tuttle joining us, the Chief Operations Manager for Queensland Racing, with an update from that state.
3 months after the racing industry was shut down by the horse flu, punters finally have reason to smile. This weekend they'll be racing at Doomben again, and several other meetings around the southeast.
Back in the saddle and breaking back into full stride. An industry brought to its knees by the horse flu outbreak in August.
We're all a bit excited, you know, it's been too long.
Everyone's excited, happy to be back, so yeah, it's only good things from here on in, I'd say.
There are still restrictions, but 2 months ahead of initial forecasts, they're racing again.
It has been contained to a certain extent. We've seen a slowing of the spread, so that's enabled us to get back on track much sooner than we'd originally anticipated.
It's been 3 tough months.
No money coming in and a few things like that, but hopefully we can get over it.
The smiles are everywhere, from the stable hands to the transporters.
We're happy now, very happy. No, we're back on the road and money's coming in, I suppose.
The layoff's done wonders for the Doomben track, but not everyone else.
Horse trainers are walking around with a little bit extra. The horses have got big tummies on them, and yeah, I'm in that boat as well.
It's delayed the comeback for jockeys like Shane Scriven, but there are plenty of nominations for Saturday's meeting. They may be off and racing again, but the impact of the equine flu crisis on the racing industry is far from over. It will be months, they say, before it fully recovers.
We've got plenty of horses and there's plenty of work to be done, but unfortunately there's about 3 months' work before we get any reward.
They're hoping those who left the industry will return and still don't know if equine flu will be a permanent burden.
We don't know whether or not this will be eradicated. It may be that we're forced to live with EI into the future.
But right now, nothing will spoil the party.
Go, Nicky, that's the way, Nicky.
Matt Dunstone, National 9 News.
Brought the Thoroughbred community to its knees. Racing has returned to Brisbane and the Gold Coast. But now there's a new challenge. Many workers who had to look elsewhere for jobs aren't coming back.
This sound hasn't been heard at Doomben since September.
But it's great to be back. It's nothing like going to the races.
There were crowds on the Gold Coast, where the Turf Club is now promoting itself as a family venue.
It's a great day out, yeah. We're having a good time at the moment.
The track layout has changed. EI fears mean trainers, jockeys and horses are now separated from everyone else by steel fences, but no one's complaining.
It's taking a long time, and everything's turning out good at the moment.
The last 3 months have been tough. When the industry shut down, thousands were put out of work. Queensland Racing estimates it's already lost $5 million.
We'll need to inoculate around about 10,000 horses annually at a cost of $200 a vaccination.
Bookie Tony Carlton spent the downtime working as a PE teacher.
For a lot of people out there who racing is in their blood and it's the only life they know, it's been very tough for them.
Some, though, may never come back. Already there's a desperate shortage of track work riders.
Queensland Racing is running a recruitment drive and has set up an intensive training program to quickly upgrade the skills of riders who sign up.
We're looking at people outside of the industry that have a degree of competence that can be converted into the necessary standards for a track work rider.
Sign-on starts Monday. Josh Adsett, 7 News.
The horse industry, in all its incarnations, contributes over $6 billion to Australia's GDP every year. In Queensland, the thoroughbred industry alone is a $700 million a year business. The August 2007 outbreak of equine influenza resulted in a vibrant part of the state's economy and social fabric grinding to a halt.
Thoroughbred racing contributes around about $700 million annually to the gross state product, so we're not an insignificant business in terms of our economic contribution. The industry employs around about 30,000 people annually in capacity such as part-time, casual and also full-time employment. So again, we are a significant employer within the industry. And in addition to that, our contribution to the state government is around about $94 million in taxes each year. So that paints a picture as to the size of the industry. At the height of the epidemic, our income was reduced something in the order of $2.5 million a week, simply in terms of our wagering revenue. So you multiply that out over a period of time, it becomes quite substantial. A number of race meetings weren't run during the height of the epidemic as well, and something in the order of $10 million in prize money couldn't be paid because race meetings weren't conducted.
By November 2007, there are over 2,200 infected premises in Queensland. In New South Wales, the figure peaked at over 10,000. Throughout the crisis, departments of primary industries have been at the forefront of containing and eradicating the infection.
This has had a big impact on people. We put in place very stringent movement controls, and in terms of where we've got to now, one of the big success stories was our ability to keep the disease restricted to the southeast corner of the state, and people have been incredibly good at meeting the movement restrictions and not moving horses out of that area, and the disease hasn't spread to other parts of the state, so people have been tremendous.
In the early stages, when you have an epidemic like this and it's new to this particular country, things always don't go smoothly, but in the circumstances the DPI and F have conducted themselves exceptionally well. There is a clear teamwork that developed right throughout the crisis that wasn't there to begin with, and that's understandable because we hadn't seen a great deal of each other previously.
Those involved in the Queensland racing industry were elated when the business of racing started on the road to recovery on December 1st last year.
We anticipated seeing a wagering recovery during the month of December, late last year, and that did occur. It was at or about where we thought it would be.
With no new infections seen in Queensland since December 25 and New South Wales since December 22, the emphasis is now on ensuring no new outbreaks occur.
The situation is quite positive at the moment with equine influenza. We haven't had a new infected property since the 25th of December, which is really good news. We've still got just under 200 properties with an infected status, but it's really more an administrative process to actually have what we call do the process that we call resolving the status of those properties, and there are procedures in place to do that, and the numbers of properties are coming down all the time. But the important thing is no new IPs for virtually a month now, and the longer we go, the more confident we get. But really the job now is what we call proof of freedom. We need to do a whole heap of work to demonstrate that we have eradicated this disease, if we have. And there's a range of strategies there that we're putting in place. We're doing random testing of properties right across the red and the amber zones. We're doing targeted testing of horses at events. We're doing intensive investigations around the most recent clusters of infection, and there's various other things we're doing as well. It's basically a lot of testing to either show that it's not there or pick it up if it is there.
No doubt now there's a great relief in that we do have the number of infected premises well down, and it looks very likely that this disease will be totally eradicated from Queensland. 2008 will be challenging. We've got a long way to go in terms of a complete recovery, but there's no question it's looking bright. The start of the year has been good, and we expect that we will be back to normal in the not too distant future, but there's still a lot of work to be done.